Everyone smiled, except me. The confetti hadn't even hit the ground when my world snapped in two. We were standing in the backyard of my own damn house, balloons overhead, a giant boy or girl sign behind us. I'd paid for everything, the DJ, the pink and blue cupcakes, the photographer she insisted on, even the stupid matching outfits. Madison, my wife, wore white. I wore white. But now I realize I was the only one actually wearing white for what it meant. She stood there beaming, hand on her stomach, surrounded by her squealing friends. I held the confetti popper like some idiot clown waiting for applause. The blue paper exploded. "It's a boy." The crowd cheered. I smiled, though something already felt off. Her energy was weird. Forced. And then came his name. "I just want to thank the amazing man who's been there for me through everything. Especially this journey. Brandon, you are truly one of a kind." "Brandon." I blinked. "Wait, Brandon?" She walked past me. Walked over to some guy standing near the pool. The dude with the slick hair and the smug little smirk, wearing a designer suit like he stepped out of a magazine ad. She hugged him. Tight. Too tight. Her friends laughed. Some even clapped. And then she turned back to me, pulled something out of a little gift bag. A box. She handed it to me. "Open it," she grinned. "You'll love this." I looked at the box in my hands, heart pounding like a war drum. I opened it. A wristwatch. Not just any watch. Branded. Sleek. Expensive. But on the back, engraved in bold letters, it said, "You are not the father. Divorced." Everything stopped. The noise faded. The laughter melted into static. My ears rang. I looked up, but no one looked confused. They knew. All of them. They were in on it. "Thought you'd like a head start," Madison smirked. "No need to drag this out, babe." Her friends doubled over, laughing like it was some kind of reality show. I didn't say a word. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the box. I just turned. Walked. Right through the crowd, right past the DJ, past the buffet I'd paid $1,000 for, past the white balloons, into the house. I took my phone, went to the home automation app, and shut it all down. The lights outside snapped off mid-photo. The music cut like a guillotine. The fountain stopped. The backyard camera system? Deactivated. Gate? Locked shut from the inside. They were trapped in the darkness of their own joke. And I walked out the front door, got into my car, drove 2 blocks, pulled over, and checked my phone. 7 minutes. 150 missed calls. Her name. Her best friend's name. Her mom. Brandon. Even the photographer. I didn't answer any of them. Because in that moment, sitting in the car with that ridiculous engraved watch still in my hand, I realized something. That wasn't a gender reveal party. That was a public execution. And now, they were about to learn what it feels like when the man they mocked starts writing his own ending. The engine was still running, but my hands were frozen on the steering wheel. My mind replayed the scene over and over, the applause, her smug voice, that damn watch. Brandon. That name had been showing up more than usual lately. I remembered how he started hanging around after one of Madison's fitness events. She claimed he was just her friend from the gym. "He's gay," she once said with a laugh. Totally harmless. But that look she gave him at the party? That wasn't how you looked at a gay friend. That was ownership. Lust. A private joke they'd already laughed about too many times behind my back. I glanced at the rearview mirror, half expecting someone to come running down the street, screaming apologies, maybe even Madison herself. But there was nothing. Just my eyes. Dull. Shocked. Hollow. I didn't go home. Instead, I drove to a motel. I needed silence. I needed time. My phone kept buzzing. The notifications became ridiculous. I turned it off and stared at the ceiling all night, running through every red flag I ignored. The late nights at yoga. The sudden interest in privacy, new passwords on everything. The weird way she started comparing me to other men. The one that hit me hardest, the time she asked, "What if the baby wasn't yours? Would you still love him?" I had laughed. Said, "Why would you even ask that?" Now I knew. The next morning, I turned the phone back on. One message caught my eye. It wasn't from her. It was from my brother, Josh. "Dude, are you okay?" I heard what she did. That was cold. So it had already spread. She wanted it to spread. She didn't just cheat. She wanted a public burn. A performance. A few hours later, I walked into the house. Quiet. Empty. She wasn't there. Good. I sat in the kitchen and stared at the counter. That's when I noticed her laptop was still there. Open. as if she didn't even expect me to return. I tapped the trackpad. The screen blinked on. Messages. She hadn't logged out. I didn't even feel guilty opening them. Her chats with Brandon were there. The truth was more disgusting than I imagined. They called me names. Laughed about how long they'd fooled me. Called the baby their new beginning. She said I was deadweight. Said I was too loyal to be interesting. Said she'd let me pay for the party because it's the last thing I'd ever be useful for. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I took screenshots. Every single message. Every picture. Every cruel joke. I emailed them to myself. To my lawyer. To my brother. Then I deleted them from her machine and closed the laptop slowly. She still hadn't come home by nightfall. I packed a bag, grabbed everything with my name on it, including the house deed that I, thankfully, kept in my name only. Then I left. 2 hours later, she finally called. "You didn't even try to talk to me," she said, her voice tired, almost irritated, like I was the drama. "You thanked another man at our gender reveal," I said calmly. "You handed me a watch that said I'm not the father, in front of 30 people. What part of that was a conversation starter?" There was a pause. Then she said, "Okay, but you still could have handled it better. You made me look stupid." I laughed. Laughed like something inside me snapped. "You? Look stupid?" I said. "No, Madison. That was all you." And I hung up. That night, I filed for divorce. And first thing the next morning, I froze our joint accounts. Everything she thought she'd take from me vanished with 2 clicks. Let her call Brandon now. Let her explain that her new beginning starts with an empty wallet. Because she wanted to play games? She's about to learn just how cold I can be when I stop caring. 3 days passed. Not a single word from her. Then all at once, an avalanche. Voicemails. Dozens. Her voice bouncing between rage and desperation. "You took all the money? What the hell, Ethan?" Then softer, faker, like syrup over poison. "Can we at least talk? For the baby's sake." That part made my blood boil. The baby. I didn't even know if it was mine. And the worst part? She did. I met with my lawyer that afternoon. I handed him the screenshots, the audio I recorded from the party, and everything else she left behind in her arrogance. His eyes widened. "She screwed herself," he muttered. "We'll bury her in paperwork before she even knows what hit her." That night, I sat alone in a cheap apartment with no furniture and ate takeout straight from the container. I should have felt broken, hollowed out, but I didn't. I felt sharp, cold, focused. Madison was a parasite, a manipulator, the kind of person who dresses betrayal in pastel colors and calls it celebration. She didn't make a mistake, she orchestrated a show. And now? I was going to tear down the stage. The next time she called, I picked up. "You finally found the courage," she snapped. "No," I said. "Just found the time." She immediately went into her rehearsed speech. How it wasn't personal. How Brandon was just there when I wasn't emotionally present. I let her talk. She said the baby probably was mine, that the watch was just a joke. "I thought we could laugh about it later," she claimed. "I'll laugh when the court awards me the house," I said. Dead silence. "You think you're gonna win?" "I already did." She tried threatening me, screaming, then crying. She said Brandon didn't want to raise the baby. She said he wasn't ready to be a father, that he was backing out, that she needed me. That one hit different. Needed me. The same man she humiliated. The same man she publicly divorced with a watch and a smirk. Now I was her backup plan. I hung up again. The next day, I got served. She tried to file a restraining order, said I was emotionally volatile, said I intimidated her. The judge took one look at the gender reveal video and dismissed her claims. My lawyer smirked across the table. We filed a countersuit for emotional distress and defamation. By the end of the week, her social media was crawling with people calling her out. The video had leaked. I didn't release it, but someone did. Maybe one of her friends who realized the joke wasn't funny anymore. She went private, deleted comments, posted a statement saying people don't know the full story. But everyone saw the branded watch. And no one forgot the words, "You are not the father." Divorced. I got a call from Brandon 2 nights later. "You happy now?" he asked. "You ruined her." "She ruined herself," I said. "I just stopped cleaning up the mess." He tried to get tough with me, threatened me. I told him to save his breath. The child support hearings were coming, and since he was the one Madison thanked, I'd make sure he got properly thanked in return. The next morning, I changed my number. I was done talking. Now it was time to finish what she started on my terms. The hearing was scheduled for the following week. But before that day came, something happened that I wasn't expecting. Her parents called me. Not to yell, not to blame, but to apologize. Her father, James, a man who once looked at me like I was the dirt beneath his daughter's heels, spoke in a broken, quiet voice. I don't know who she's become, Ethan. We didn't raise her for this. I didn't say anything, just listened. Let him sit in his own silence. I wasn't angry at them. Not anymore. I was past that. But I wasn't about to pretend everything was fine. That phone call didn't come when I was publicly humiliated. It didn't come when I was shoved out of my own life. It came when they finally realized her reputation was dragging them down too. Madison had gone radio silent after the video exploded. Even Brandon disappeared from her pictures. I heard through mutual friends that he moved back to Miami, left her high and dry. And just like that, her fairy tale collapsed. The baby? I had no idea what to feel. I scheduled a paternity test through the court. If he was mine, I'd step up, no matter what she did. But I wasn't going to be the fool who raised another man's child out of guilt. The morning of the court hearing, I arrived in a fitted navy suit. Clean shave. Steady hands. Madison was already inside, dressed like she was heading to a funeral. In a way, she was. She didn't even look at me. The judge reviewed the documents. Emails. Screenshots. The video. My attorney laid it all out. How she staged the humiliation, mocked our marriage, used me financially, and even weaponized the reveal of the child's paternity. Her attorney was clearly unprepared. Probably thought I'd come in waving emotions. Instead, I came in with evidence, dates, and calm precision. The judge ruled in my favor on almost everything. I kept the house. I kept my business. She was denied alimony. The court ordered a temporary financial freeze on all joint assets until the paternity test confirmed fatherhood. When it was over, she finally looked at me. Not with hate. Not even with regret. With fear. That was new. Outside the courthouse, she tried to stop me. Ethan, wait. I turned. She looked tired. Broken. Hollow-eyed like someone who hadn't slept in days. She reached for my arm. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I pulled away before she could touch me. You engraved it, I said. You paid for a custom engraving that said, "You are not the father." Don't pretend this was a mistake. She stood there frozen, her mouth slightly open. She had no words for that. And even if she did, I wasn't listening. I walked away. That night, I stood in my new place. Unpacked box in the kitchen. My phone buzzed with messages from friends, colleagues, even strangers who'd seen the video and reached out with support. I didn't respond to most of them. Instead, I poured myself a drink, sat by the window, and for the first time in months, exhaled. It was over. The storm. The betrayal. The chaos. Now came the part she never planned for. My peace. 2 weeks passed. The paternity results came in. I sat in the lawyer's office when I opened the envelope. My hands didn't shake. My pulse didn't spike. I was ready for whatever it said. I had already built walls around my heart. Whatever was inside couldn't break me. He's not mine. The silence in that room felt like thunder. My lawyer looked up from his desk, waiting for a reaction. I just nodded. All right. That's all I said. He looked surprised. Maybe he expected a breakdown, some kind of emotional collapse. But I had done that already the night of the party, in the car, watching the blue confetti fall in slow motion. That was the moment everything snapped. This was just confirmation. The next day, I filed to terminate any legal responsibility for the child. Clean break. No fatherhood, no support, no name on the birth certificate. I signed the paperwork, and for the first time, it truly felt final. Madison tried reaching out again. This time it was a letter. Handwritten. Probably her last shot at making me feel something. She started with, "Ethan, I never meant to hurt you." Already a lie. The rest was a mix of self-pity and half-hearted apologies. She claimed Brandon pressured her. Said she felt trapped. Said the party was supposed to be funny. That I overreacted. That the watch was just a symbol. She ended it with a pathetic line. "If the baby isn't yours, I understand. But if there's still a chance to talk, I want to be heard." She had her chance. I didn't respond. I didn't burn the letter. I didn't even finish reading it. I folded it and stuffed it into the back of a drawer I'd never open again. That weekend, I hosted a dinner at my new place. Close friends. My brother. No toasts. No speeches. Just peace. The kind of peace that comes after a war you survived. Everyone knew the story by now. I didn't need to explain anything. After dinner, Josh pulled me aside. You ever think about what you would have done if you never found out? I nodded. Every day. Because that's the real horror, how close I came to spending the rest of my life in a lie. Raising another man's child. Sleeping next to a traitor. Funding her lifestyle while she laughed behind my back. That what she handed me? She thought it was a punchline. But it became her signature. A signed confession of the worst kind of betrayal, not just of love, but of dignity. Now, I was rebuilding. No, not rebuilding. Redesigning. New apartment. New routine. New boundaries. No more blind loyalty. No more second chances for people who turn cruelty into entertainment. And if anyone ever asked me for advice, I'd say this. Watch the small cracks. Because sometimes the house doesn't collapse all at once. It caves in slowly, quietly. And by the time you realize, you're buried under everything you ignored. But if you're lucky, really lucky, the ceiling falls just in time to wake you up. I started running again. Not because I wanted to get in shape, but because I needed to feel my body move, to feel like something still belonged to me. Every morning before sunrise, I hit the pavement, headphones in, city still asleep. It was the only time I didn't replay her voice, her laugh, the way her friends chuckled when she handed me that watch like it was a party favor. People talk about betrayal like it's a blade in the back. They're wrong. It's slower than that. It creeps in like rot. You don't even notice the damage until the floor caves in beneath you. She texted again last week. Just one line. Can we meet? I stared at the screen for a long time. My thumb hovered over the reply button, not because I considered saying yes, but because part of me wanted to know what more she thought there was to say. Instead, I blocked the number. Again, a friend of mine from work, Lauren, asked me out for drinks that weekend. I hadn't said yes to anything in a long time, but I did, just to remind myself that not everyone lies. Not everyone will look you in the eye and still spit poison behind your back. We didn't talk about Madison. I like that. Lauren asked about my past, and I just said, it ended with a watch and a punchline. She laughed, confused. I didn't explain. Not yet. After she left, I sat in the parking lot for a while. Thought about everything that had happened. How many times I looked for the warning signs and convinced myself they didn't mean anything. Like when Madison stopped saying goodnight. When she started sleeping with her phone under the pillow. When she rolled her eyes every time I asked about her day. I called it stress. I called it hormones. I called it anything but what it really was, disgust. She didn't just stop loving me. She started resenting me. And I didn't see it, because I loved her enough for both of us, until it cost me everything. The day after the dinner with Lauren, I got a letter from the court. Final judgment on the divorce. Everything was official now. Stamped. Sealed. Done. I looked at my name, single again. No longer attached to her legally. No longer the fool they laughed at. I took the letter and the watch, the same watch she gave me at the party, and walked them both to the river. I stood on the edge of the bridge for a minute, holding them together. She wanted that watch to break me, but I made it my trophy. I threw it in, watched it disappear into the dark water. It didn't make me feel better. It didn't give me closure, but it gave me movement. And right now, that was enough. Because I'm no longer standing still in the wreckage. I'm walking away from it. Step by step. 2 months later, I stood in front of my old house, the one I got to keep. It was empty now. She had moved out after the court decision, left behind only a few shattered picture frames and a faint scent of cheap perfume. I walked through the room slowly, like I was exploring a place I'd never seen before. It didn't feel like home. Not yet. But it didn't feel like hers anymore either. I kept walking until I reached the backyard. The same place where the gender reveal had happened. The grass had grown uneven, the balloons were long gone, but I could still see the exact spot where she handed me the watch and grinned like a villain in a soap opera. I stood there for a long time. Then I pulled out my phone and started filming. Not for revenge. Not to post online. Just for me. I recorded that spot. I said what I had wanted to say in that moment but didn't. I spoke to my past self, the version of me standing there, surrounded by fake smiles and betrayal in a tailored dress. You didn't deserve what she did. You weren't weak. You were loyal. And they laughed at that because they couldn't understand it. But now you know better. You know not everyone who smiles at you loves you. Not everyone who says forever means it. And sometimes, walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. I stopped the recording, saved it, archived it where no one else would see. Then I turned off the lights, locked the door, and left the house for the last time. Not in anger, not in sadness, in clarity. I moved to a new apartment across town. I kept it simple. No pictures on the wall yet, No reminders of what was. Just space to breathe, to rebuild. Lauren and I started seeing each other more. Slowly, carefully. She knew what I'd been through, and she never pushed. We just talked, laughed, existed. No masks, no games. One night, I told her the whole story. From the first strange text message to the moment I threw the watch into the river. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she just whispered, "I'm glad you got out." So was I. Because Madison didn't destroy me. She woke me up. She showed me how easily love can be manipulated, twisted, turned into something cruel when it's placed in the wrong hands. But she also taught me that no betrayal is ever strong enough to break a man who knows his own worth. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need forgiveness. I needed freedom. And now I had it. So here's my advice. When someone hands you a watch that says you are not the father at your own party, don't beg, don't shout, don't chase. Smile. Because they just gave you the clearest answer you'll ever need. And walking away from a lie? That's the most honest thing you'll ever do.